The latest Survivor-like contest pits former reality show contestants against everyday people, all in the hopes of winning up to $250,000. But some of them are traitors. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for the recent Peacock series, The Traitors. This actually premiered in mid-January, but it just ran just a couple of days ago its reunion episode. So the whole series, or first season, I should say, has completed. You can check it all out. You can see the reunion wrap-up. It has been renewed for season 2, so we can look forward to that possibly next year. Before we get into all this stuff and the mechanics of the game and how it is sort of like Survivor, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. Tons of movie and TV reviews on the channel for you to check out, and please consider subscribing down below there. Would love to have you aboard. I try to put up a new video just about every day, whether it's a movie review, a TV review. Sometimes I review food on the channel. I haven't done that in a while, but it happens. But anyway, sort of going through the 2023 TV shows I have not gotten to yet. And since this just aired, the reunion episode on Peacock, I figured, well, this is a good time to talk about The Traitors. So this is hosted by Alan Cumming, who is a great Scotsman. We know him from so many things. I go back with him to the Romy and Michelle days from the mid-90s, but he's been in so many TV shows and movies, and just, you know, an all-around funny dude, fun guy. And he is the host of this. And what it is 20 people coming together at this big Scottish castle to basically hope to win up to $250,000. And I say up to because there's different contests and challenges that will sort of up the kitty that's in the pot. But there are traitors among them. So they took a bunch of former reality show contestants, only 2 of which I had ever even heard of. I'm not a reality show person. I mean, I used to watch Survivor, Amazing Race, all of that kind of stuff. Nowadays, you know, I'll watch a few episodes to review it for you guys, but very rarely do I actually, you know, watch the entire season through. This I actually might. It's kind of a fun one, but, you know, we'll get to that. But for the most part, you know, I'm unfamiliar with a lot of the reality shows where they just follow people around. You know, so there's people on here from The Real Housewives and The Shaws of Sunset and all of these shows that I've sort of vaguely heard about. I do know Brandi Glanville from one of the Real Housewives seasons. I guess, I don't know if she's just been in the news or something. I don't watch the Real Housewives shows, but I do know her from, maybe I've seen her on talk shows or something. And then the other one I knew was Suri, who actually was from Survivor. She played, I think, in 3 or 4 different Survivor seasons. And her first season was back when I was still watching the show. In fact, I think she came back and I was still watching too. So, you know, I did know her. But anyway, there's, you know, about half of the 20 are them, and then the other half are just, you know, everyday people who have not yet done this type of reality contest show. So, you know, it's sort of an even mix there from all walks of life. And so a few people in the mix are known as traitors, and so they are trying to kind of sabotage the challenges and stuff without being detected. And then every night they get to murder one of the other people who either they think is a threat or they think is useless and can't make money for the pot, whatever. And then they all get to, the remaining people the next day get to vote on who they think is one of the traitors, and that person then gets to be removed, whether or not, you know, they are a traitor. So that's, you know, the Survivor part is, you know, there's the challenges, which are kind of similar. And then there's sort of the tribal council of who is a traitor in the mix there. And this is, you know, there's been a recent rash of shows like this. This is just kind of the latest in the, like, who's trying to sabotage us kind of shows. And some of them are full-on contest shows like this, where it's the same cast for many episodes, a whole season. USA had one, I think last year. I forget what it was called, but I reviewed that on my channel. But one that I really, really loved, and it's been canceled, but it ran for 2 seasons, is The Hustler on ABC. And ironically enough, that was also hosted by a Scotsman, the great Craig Ferguson. So I thought it was sort of interesting that they, they chose, do this in Scotland at a Scottish castle with a Scottish host when you already had a similar show, at least in not in presentation necessarily, but in sort of the theme of the show, the sort of hidden. But look, this goes back to party games from years and years and years ago. Mafia is a very popular one, and there's a lot of board games, even or strategy games, you could say, tabletop games that have a similar premise as well. Avalon and Secret Hitler, and there's all these who's the person trying to sabotage us type games. I love them. I love playing them. I think it's a lot of fun. I prefer to be on the side of the good guy trying to figure out who the saboteur is, but I think it's fun either way. This show does tip its hand though in the first episode and reveals who the traitors are going to be, which is something I kind of liked about The Hustler not doing, because you got to sort of guess along with the rest of the people in the room. But for a contest show like this, I think for the format that this is, they kind of had to tip their hand a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot, and tell us exactly who the traitors are, because otherwise you don't really have much of a show. You sort of need to know who's on what side here as you're a viewer. So that does take away a little bit of the fun, I think, for me. In terms of the gameplay, look, I think it's pretty similar to a lot of other shows, especially with the challenge mentality. You've got that Survivor Amazing Race kind of thing there. But there is that interesting new wrinkle of the saboteurs. But like I mentioned, that's not necessarily that new of a wrinkle either, because we've seen that done in many, many other shows. In fact, the show on USA, I wish I could remember what it was called, but it really was very, very similar. They were doing Survivor-like things. There were much less people. It wasn't quite 20. I think there was only, if I'm remembering this right, I think there was only one saboteur, and they had to figure, out who that was or whatever. But in any event, Alan Cumming's a great host. I mean, that comes as a surprise to no one. And it strikes me, that the people playing this game are just living in the lap of luxury here. They wake up and have this big lavish breakfast, and all this. Quite the stark contrast to Survivor, of course, where it's, as a viewer, I think part of the fun or whatever is, could I survive doing that, or could I survive if these were the conditions or whatever. Everybody could survive doing this. There's not really a ton of like high stakes other than let's try and win the money, which can be fun. But I think part of at least when I used to watch Survivor, part of the fun was sort of imagining myself in those situations and saying, okay, I would excel at that challenge, or I would fail this one, or I would buddy up with this group, or whatever. And there's definitely some groups here too, but of course automatically I sort of have a little bit of a dislike for random reality show people who are on their 5th reality contest now. That's the only reason they're famous. I don't love that, but whatever. But anyway, the gameplay is fun. It's a fun watch. However, there's not really much new here. But I do love that sort of secret saboteur concept. I enjoy playing those games, and I do enjoy watching those shows. So this may be one that I decide I'm gonna stick it through and see who's who or whatever, and who makes it out alive. I think the idea is if all of the saboteurs, if all of the traitors get found out, then whoever is left, I think, splits the $250,000 pot, or whatever is in the pot at that time. I think they split that. And then on the flip side, if they get down to it and one of the traitors ends up winning, or the whole team of traitors, or however it works, then I think they get the prize alone. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm down for a season 2 for this, but it's just, there's nothing new here. So I can't grade this super high, but it is a fun watch. Alan Cumming is a good host, and it's if you like shows like this, I think this will be an enjoyable one for you. If you don't, I think this is one to just avoid altogether. But like I said, it's on Peacock. All the episodes are streaming now, including the big reunion special that just went up a couple of days ago. I will leave The Traitors with a B-. All right, that will do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time for another TV or movie review on Dan Reviews It. Bye.